Good afternoon, everyone. Minister Flack, Mayor Horwath, and all of our partners here today, thank you for joining us at the residences at Watershore built by our Hamilton-based family business, Mars Homes. On behalf of the West End Home Builders Association and our 300 member companies, I want to thank the Province of Ontario, the Government of Canada, and the City of Hamilton for making today's announcement possible. This is an incredibly important investment for Hamilton and, most importantly, for people who want to call this city home. Housing affordability is about more than the price of a home. It's about all the costs that go into creating new communities in the first place. Today's investment helps address those costs so we can get more homes built at a lower cost and give families and people a realistic path to home ownership. At a time when home ownership feels increasingly out of reach for so many people, this is exactly the kind of action we need. I want to recognize Mayor Horwath, Hamilton City Council, and city staff. Over the past several months, we have worked closely together to develop what we believe was one of the strongest and most ambitious applications submitted anywhere in Ontario. This announcement shows what is possible when all three levels of government come together with the private sector towards a shared goal. Because ultimately, today isn't just an investment in infrastructure. It's an investment in Hamilton's future, in growing our communities, creating jobs, creating more opportunities for home ownership, and giving the next generation a better chance to build their lives right here in Hamilton. I would now like to welcome to the podium the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, the Honourable Rob Flack, for a very important announcement about our city's future. Thank you very much.
Good job. Well, thank you, Danny, for the introduction and for hosting us here today at Mars Homes. You, along with the other builders here today, I want to thank you for a job well done. We're seeing good results. Keep up the good work. It's always a pleasure to visit the City of Hamilton, especially when we get to bring good news. And I know Minister Oosterhoff and the Parliamentary Assistant Sorello is very happy to be here as well. So I want to recognize the two of them for helping advance growth and a continuing prosperity for this important region in Ontario. And of course, I always love the opportunity to meet with Mayor Horwath. She is a champion, as the Premier would call everyone a champion, but she truly is. And I want to recognize her staff. Where are you, Mayor?
I'm here.
With your staff over here, I can tell you, full stop, it was the best application we received under the DCRP, so well done. So, Mayor, success is when you put good people around you, and you've got good people, and it was the most thorough and well researched and presentation we had for the DCRP. We know in Ontario, we're in the midst of a housing affordability crisis. People like to say it's a housing crisis. It is, but it really is an affordability crisis. And we know this must change. The dream of home ownership must be kept alive. It still takes too long and it costs too much to build housing in this province. That's why, since 2025, we have delivered 3 important pieces of legislation that work together to reduce red tape, lower the cost to get shovels in the ground, and overall speed up the delivery of new homes built. It's also why we signed the Canada-Ontario Partnership to build this past spring with the federal government represented well here today. This agreement made the full 13% HST rebate on new home sales possible, one action alone that is saving homeowners, home buyers, up to $130,000 off a new home. We're already seeing progress, and I know the home builders here are seeing it as well too. Year over year, new home sales were up 130% in the second quarter in 2026 versus 25, and additionally, this agreement is providing another $8.8 billion over 10 years for housing enabling infrastructure projects, including through the Development Charge Reduction Program, or DCRP. Now, we know why many municipalities levy development charges. We understand this. Historically, they've been an important tool used to fund needed infrastructure to get more homes built. However, development charges have grown significantly in many parts of the province, driving up housing costs and contributing to our housing affordability crisis. These costs can no longer be laid squarely on the shoulders of new home buyers. We appreciate the municipalities who recognize this reality and are taking action to remove barriers to home building across the province. Municipalities like Hamilton. Now, I'm here for a very important announcement, but it's really the second announcement. There's another fella here a couple of days ago that kind of let the cat out of the bag. So I know it's a little bit anticlimactic, but it's important to note nonetheless, and he gets to do that, right? He's the Premier of Ontario. So with that being said, I am proud, very proud, as I know the Premier is as well, to announce that the City of Hamilton will receive $572 million through this program in recognition of not only lowering, this is an important point, they're not only lowering, they're eliminating DCs for 3 years, so well done. In many cases, estimated cost savings on home prices will be over 6 figures. So think about it when you take HST relief together with the DCRP reduction, you could have in excess of $200,000 savings on a new home. And that is a lot. These houses are a lot of money. When you think you're saving $200,000+, it brings affordability back into the equation. This is significant for the first-time home buyer. It's significant for the people trying to move into their forever home, and it's significant for seniors looking to downsize. Mayor Horwath, thank you and your team for being such great partners in creating the conditions to get more homes built. You have a great team, obviously. In light of the significant trade dispute caused by President Trump, and I want to emphasize caused by President Trump, I know that workers and families are worried about how tariffs will raise costs and impact their jobs. That's why this announcement is so important. It's delivering on our plan to build a more competitive and resilient economy. I was with the Premier this morning and listening to his comments, and I couldn't help but be confident about the direction we're going in terms of protecting our economy, protecting our workers, protecting our citizens, not only in Ontario, but throughout our great country. It's helping keep thousands of workers on the job, thousands of construction workers and steel workers on the job right here in Hamilton. It's saving families hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it's showing what Team Canada can do when we absolutely work together. So with that, I'll now turn it over to Minister Wayne Long from the great riding of St. John, New Brunswick, to bring greetings and to talk a little more about this very important announcement. Minister.
Well, good afternoon. It's great to be here in Hamilton. I've been actually traveling the country for the last couple months, doing pre-budget consultations from Victoria to St. John's and back. Sometimes I'll wake up and I'm not quite sure where I'm at. But it's great to be here in Hamilton. We had 2 wonderful pre-budget consultation roundtables today with the Chamber and trade unions. And look, we know, like the Minister said, the ground's shifted underneath us. Things aren't as they were. Literally, our world's changing by the hour. But we've got work to do as a country. We need to step back. We need to rebuild, rethink how we do projects. We need to invest in each other. We need to think east to west, west to east, not so much north to south. And we need to build. And we will build the strongest economy in the G7. There's no question that, like my friend Dominic LeBlanc will say, you need to buckle up. We may have some turbulence along the way, but we will stand and we will stand tall. I certainly want to thank the Minister. I want to thank Premier Doug Ford for the amazing leadership he's showing, keeping Canada strong and standing up for Canada against very, very difficult situation. But you know what? We're here today to talk housing. And like the Minister said, we know from coast to coast to coast that we have a housing crisis. We need to build more homes. Housing is a right, and we need to stand together. And it's not going to be solved by one level of government. It's going to be solved by municipal leaders like Mayor Horwath, ministers like Minister Flack, Premier Ford, Prime Minister Carney, our Minister Gregor Robertson. It's going to take all 3 levels of government working hand in hand to deliver housing for communities that need it. And we're focused. Our government's focused on building a resilient economy, and we want to empower Canadians to get ahead. And of course, that starts with enabling more housing for working families. Alongside our provincial partners, who we have a great working relationship with, we're working to increase housing supply and invest in modern and reliable infrastructure. We are doing so in a way that creates new jobs and supports Canadian industries. Today marks a huge milestone in delivering for Ontarians and for the people of Hamilton. I'm proud to announce that the City of Hamilton, the Minister said, is receiving $572 million through the Ontario Development Charge Reduction Program. And that's going to help build more homes and community infrastructure in the city. When I was asked to do the announcement last week, I was like, oh, you know, I'm doing pre-budget consultation. Then I looked at the amount. I said, $500 million, I'll be there. That check over there better be pretty heavy, I'll tell you that. But in all seriousness, the program is funded in partnership by the Government of Canada, the Government of Ontario, and through this partnership, federal investments through the Build Community Strong Fund will support housing, enabling infrastructure projects across the province. The investment will help Hamilton build the infrastructure needed to unlock more housing and support the growth of communities across the city. The projects supported through this investment include important road and transportation improvements, such as widening and reconstructing Barton Street, Lewis Road, and Garner Road. These are the kinds of investments that make it possible to build complete, connected communities, and they will make a real difference in the lives of families looking for a place to call home. Last March, Canada and Ontario announced combined investments of over $8.8 billion over 10 years through the Build Community Strong Fund. This funding will help the infrastructure needed to support housing growth across this great province. It will also allow municipalities like Hamilton to reduce development fees otherwise needed to pay for this critical infrastructure, directly lowering the cost to build new homes. Development charges will be reduced by up to 50% for 3 years, targeting Ontario's largest and fastest growing cities. The Ontario DCRP will help reduce taxes and fees for a new home in Ontario, like the Minister said, by up to $200,000. That's significant. This will be done through a combination of reduced development charges and HST relief for homebuyers. Our combined efforts will boost housing supply for Canadians and help to bring down costs. By building infrastructure, we are not only building homes, it's more than that. We're building opportunities for skilled trades we met with today, supporting Canadian industries and strengthening our economy. Building Ontario strong is essential to building Canada strong. We stand together. Together, we will improve productivity, we will support economic growth, increase housing supply and affordability, and create new skilled trades jobs. So in closing, it's great to be here. It's great to meet the Minister, Mayor Horwath. Followed you politically for years. You both have my respect. I want to thank the Premier again for his leadership, standing strong for Canada. And all of us as Canadians, this is our moment. This is our moment to stand. This is our moment to stand together. It's our moment to build together. We can do this. And it starts with working with all three levels of government with common goals. And today, like I say, is about housing. This is a wonderful announcement. Congratulations to the Minister, your government. Mayor Horwath, thank you. Last but not least, I want to acknowledge my friend and colleague, MP JP Denko. I've been privileged to be elected in the House of Commons now. I'm in my 11th year. This guy gets it. He's a great representative for the riding, for the city. He advocates strongly up there. I see it in caucus. I see it in the House of Commons. He is there for the right reasons. So, JP, I also want to thank you for your leadership and contribution to making Hamilton the best, well, maybe the second best city next to St. John. Good afternoon. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Minister. Not that low. Thank you so much. I want to say first and foremost, thank you to the Minister, Secretary of State, and thank you to, of course, Minister Flack. I want to say thank you to Mars Homes for hosting us again. Thank you, Danny, for being such a great kind of opener for our really fantastic announcement. Today is really, really a great day for Hamilton. This is the single largest infrastructure investment that Hamilton has ever seen. That is pretty amazing. It is the single largest infrastructure investment in Hamilton's history, and it's going to help us build the infrastructure our growing city needs, get more housing built, and deliver real benefits for Hamilton workers, businesses, and families. As mayor, I've advocated tirelessly. I think Minister Flack gets tired of me for Hamilton. Never. And for the investments we need to support our growth, build more housing, create jobs, and deliver infrastructure Hamiltonians rely on each and every day. So I'd like to thank you, Minister Flack. Thank you so much. The Honourable Rob Flack, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, has always been reachable, connectable, always willing to take my calls and have a conversation. And I just can't tell you how pleased I am today with your announcement. And of course, the Honourable Wayne Long, Secretary of State for CRA and Financial Institutions, representing the federal government, and Minister Gregor Robertson, thank you for being here in Hamilton. It was my pleasure to meet you. I've been to your community. It's a beautiful, beautiful community. Next time I'm there, I'll look you up. How's that sound? And also, of course, John Paul Danko, the Member of Parliament for Hamilton West Ancaster Dundas, who was a former colleague of mine on City Council, so certainly understands the needs of our city, and as has been said, advocates greatly for that. Monica Ciriello, Parliamentary Assistant to the Attorney General and MPP for Hamilton Mountain. Again, a big booster of Hamilton, a strong advocate for our city, and of course, Premier Doug Ford, for recognizing Hamilton's potential and working with us to make this investment possible. I also want to recognize, I'm sorry? Oh, sorry, Minister Oosterhoff. Sorry, I see you so often these days. I actually totally forgot. It's actually not in my remarks, and so I apologize. But I do appreciate you being here. And as well, Minister Oosterhoff at one point represented parts of Hamilton, and so he knows this city well. And I won't tell any tales out of school, but I see him downtown from time to time having dinner, which is really great. With his wife. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. Oh my gosh. You're gonna have to give me your wife's number so that I can call her and clarify. Yes, with his wife on James Street North, as a matter of fact. Anyways, I also want to recognize and thank Hamilton City Council for the decisions that we've made together to position Hamilton for this opportunity. And really, a great big thank you to Hamilton City staff. A great thank you for Hamilton City staff, some of whom are with us today, who put a tremendous amount of work into our application under the leadership of our acting city manager, Mike Zagaric, who is with us as well. Thank you all for joining us. It is important to celebrate you today. Really, really important. You put forward an exceptional application, one that I'm told was the strongest application that the province received. And I think Minister Flack mentioned that as well. We got a gold star, is what he told me at the AMO conference not too long ago. And so we appreciate that acknowledgement. I also want to acknowledge Hamilton's development community for working with us to put forward the strongest possible case for our city. Of course, Mike Collins-Williams with the West End Home Builders Association is with us today. There are other people representing various other parts of the housing industry. I know Darina Omasic is with us from the Hamilton Chamber of Commerce. What we know is that Hamilton is a growing city, and we are welcoming new residents, new businesses, and new investment every single day. And that growth brings with it enormous opportunity for our city. But growth also requires infrastructure to support it. This investment will build and improve roads, expand water and wastewater capacity, and unlock the potential for more than 31,000 new homes across Hamilton. That means more housing supply? Yes, that's something to celebrate. That means more housing supply and more choice for Hamilton families. And by eliminating residential development charges for 3 years, we're reducing the significant upfront cost of getting those homes built. But this investment is about more than infrastructure and housing. It is also an investment in Hamilton workers, Hamilton businesses, and our local economy. At a time when U.S. tariffs and ongoing trade uncertainty are putting pressure on Hamilton's steel, manufacturing, construction, and other industries, this is our answer to Trump's attacks. Keep Ontario building, keep Canada building, keep Hamilton working, keep our economy moving forward, and we'll show him that we are made from steel.
Hear, hear.
Bravo, bravo.
I want to see Hamilton workers on these projects, Hamilton businesses benefiting from this investment, and Canadian-made materials helping us build the infrastructure our city needs. For Hamilton families, this means more homes and the infrastructure needed to support our growing neighborhoods. But we are also building the infrastructure we need for the next generation of Hamiltonians. This is what can happen when governments work together. This is an example of what happens when governments work together. We put forward a strong plan for Hamilton, and our provincial and federal partners recognized the opportunity and invested in our city's future. And with workers and businesses, we are building Hamilton together. Thank you so much. I am so thrilled to be here. Is it up to you, JPU, now?
So.
Over to John Paul Danko, the member for Hamilton West Ancaster Dundas.
Thank you so much, Mayor Horwath. You know, serving on Hamilton City Council for 7 years before I was elected federally, I never thought that we'd be talking about development charges that much or with this much excitement. I've been through 2 development charge background studies, I think, when I was at the city, and it's very much an inside baseball issue, except when you see how it is impacting home building and new construction and the cost of housing here in Hamilton and across the country. When I was first elected to City Council back in 2018, we were at that time, the pre-COVID era, we were talking about actually eliminating all the exemptions for development charges and maximizing as much development charge revenue as we could get for the city of Hamilton, because the development industry was booming. New housing construction was going strong, condominium development, new apartments, there were cranes all across downtown, work that everyone was involved with. So the housing industry at that time was just firing on all cylinders. Now, of course, we all know what happened with the pandemic, subsequent inflation, the cost of housing, and that momentum was lost. And today is a completely different world where new home construction in Hamilton and across Canada is largely stalled. So it is incumbent on all levels of government to make sure that we invest in home building, invest in new housing, to kickstart the construction industry, to kickstart the home building industry, to get those new homes built that people rely on. And as Minister Flack and Mayor Horwath and Minister Long have spoken about, that doesn't happen without collaboration. Collaboration between the federal government, the provincial government, the municipal government, but also collaboration and engagement and a genuine partnership with the private sector home builders. Those are the people who are actually building these homes. Those are the people that are working day in, day out, on the construction site, who are building the homes that Canadians need. It seems very fitting to be standing here on the construction site of a new home. I'm a little bit sad, actually, that the workers have put their hammers down. There's nothing better than hearing the sound of construction. As a former As a structural engineer, I spent 20 years on construction sites, and I'm always impressed and amazed by the work that the actual workers that build the things that our country relies on, the work that they do each and every day. So thank you so much to the Hamilton home building industry, home builders across the country for the work that they do as our partners to get new homes built. Of course, our government is investing heavily as in collaboration with all levels of government. $51 billion through the Build Canada Strong Fund, investing in infrastructure across Canada, $13 billion for the Build Canada Homes. And I'm so proud to be here with all the City of Hamilton staff and to have the recognition that Hamilton really is a leader in home building. To hear that the application that was put forward by the City of Hamilton was recognized by the province to be a top application, which results in real significant amounts of funding coming to the City of Hamilton to pay for critical infrastructure. Just really quickly to talk about development charges, you know, this is not an abstract thing. Development charges pay for roads, they pay for the water infrastructure, they also pay for emergency services, fire, police, ambulances, the parks, the arenas, recreation. Without this investment, none of that would be possible. So it is extraordinary that when we were talking about the cost of new homes, the cutting of, I think it was about 25% of the sticker price on a new home being government fees and taxes, eliminating the HST, eliminating development charges, cutting the price of the average home by, I think it was $230,000. That is an extraordinary savings that families in Hamilton and across Ontario will be taking advantage of. And I'm just going to close with a bit of a challenge to our partners in the home building industry. So now that the sticker price of new housing has the potential to be reduced by hundreds of thousands of dollars, we want to make sure that that savings is passed on to the consumer. Whether that is a direct cut from the sale price, or there's other innovative ways that I think that the home builders can invest in building family-friendly housing, whether that's more 2- and 3-bedroom units in multi-residential construction, that's smaller, more affordable homes on minimum 33-foot lots. It's building the types of housing that families need, and the next generation is going to need to be able to afford the lifestyle that they want. And just in closing, one of my touch points in municipal politics and now at the federal level is to making sure that we are providing for the next generation. And when I think of my own children, they're now 18 and 20. My daughter is actually here today as my staff. She's filling in. But I want to make sure that they have the opportunities that my wife and I were lucky enough to have in the City of Hamilton. And I think this collaboration with the provincial government, with the municipalities, with the home builders is exactly what we need to do to make sure that the next generation can be able to afford and have the opportunities that we had. Thank you.
So thank you, MP Danko, and good afternoon, everyone. You know, it's always a wonderful day to be here in Hamilton, and this is 2 announcements in 1 week in a familiar site. The first announcement, a little bit of a teaser of what's to come today, but it's wonderful to be back for the big milestone announcement that's going to take and shape the future of our city. As the MPP for Hamilton Mountain, it is a great privilege to be alongside my colleagues, Minister Flack and Minister Oosterhoff, and my federal and municipal colleagues as well, for this critical announcement that is a major win for Hamilton families, workers, and businesses. As someone who lives in this city, represents this community, and cares deeply about Hamilton's future, I know how just important today's announcement is. Hamilton is growing, and with that growth comes the need for the infrastructure that families, businesses, and neighbors rely on every single day. That is why today's investment of $572 million, that's worth repeating, $572 million is so significant for our community. Investing in Hamilton's infrastructure is investing in your family's future. A new sewer means a new neighborhood can be built. A new road means getting home to your family from downtown to Hamilton Mountain sooner. And the infrastructure we build today means even more families will have the opportunity to find a home, to put down roots and build their futures right here in Hamilton. Since being elected, I've made it a priority to bring Hamilton's needs directly to Queen's Park. I've heard from our residents, our business, our municipal partners about our city's needs. And I've advocated for Hamilton to receive its fair share. Today, we are seeing a result of that work and that partnership. Hamilton asked, I advocated, and Ontario delivered. And this $572 million commitment represents something bigger. It represents confidence in Hamilton and confidence in where our city is going. Hamilton was built by generations of hardworking people who believed in this city. And today we are laying the groundwork for the next generation so they can build homes right here, raise their families here, find good jobs here, and be proud to call a place like Hamilton home. Thank you to Minister Flack, Mayor Horwath, our federal partners, and everyone who has worked to make this investment possible. Most notably, the city staff as well, I heard. Again, A+, gold star, the best application. Thank you to the city staff for putting that forward. I am incredibly proud to celebrate this announcement in this city that I care so deeply about. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Minister. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. We will be now opening the floor to questions from the media. Media, if you can come up towards the mic. As a reminder, the format is one question, one follow-up. Please state your name and outlet before you ask your question. First question.
Jeffrey Tram here with CBC News. Could you just provide a little bit more details into exactly how this funding will work, the $572 million?
Well, as you know, as we said today, there's $8.8 billion. Also another $1 billion funding stream for those municipalities that do not levy DCs. 219 municipalities across the province levy DCs. So what we're trying to do is lower the cost of housing. So what we ask these municipalities that have DCs to apply to us for their share of the $8.8 billion over 10 years. So Hamilton, to take this example, put forth, first of all, you had to lower your DCs by a minimum of 30%. Hamilton got rid of them 100%. So that gave a great big, they were on your way to the gold star with that one. And then you had to put a portion, 10% minimum, into the cost as well, so the municipalities have skin in the game. They did that. And then how many housing starts you're going to create over a period of time, that for sure. So you had to lower them for 3 years, and Hamilton did a great job based on that criteria. So it was a competition, to speak, because there was one pot of money, and so Hamilton did a great job, a very good job.
And the development charge reductions are intended to lower the cost of building homes, but there's no guarantee those savings are passed on to the buyers or renters of affordable units. What would you say to the Hamilton residents who wonder if this will turn into more affordable housing rather than simply benefiting developers?
Well, okay, first of all, we're in a very competitive housing market. So I think if any builder, ask any of these developers, these builders, what they think about the market right now. I don't think there's gouging taking place. There's extra margin being taken place. First of all, the HST reduction will show up on invoice. You're not going to pay it and have to apply it. Hopefully, how it's going to work is the builders will pass it on and they'll deal directly with the CRA. We've got those regulations in place. With regard to the DCs, that should come off the purchase price as well too. So what you see is what you get, and we're hoping that we get in Bill 98. I'm looking back at Daniel Becker. I believe in Bill 98. We want to have transparency on the final invoice to make sure that these costs are being passed. They have to go to the home buyer. It cannot be an opportunity. And, you know, we're going to continue to monitor it, but I think all the Ontario home building associations, Michael's here. I think, Michael, is there any worry at all about seeing any margin gouging? I don't think so. This is going to be passed directly on to those buying their homes, whether you're a first home buyer, you're buying your home forever, or you're senior downsizing. No matter where you're in the housing continuum, you get to benefit from these initiatives.
Matt Christie, the Hamilton Spectator. Hamilton eliminating development charges for the next 3 years. How does that stack up against the other municipalities in the province? And is that what set the Hamilton application apart?
As I said, thanks for the question, Matt. I would say that yes, that was a big precursor for sure. The application process wanted a minimum of a 30% reduction. So those that did got certain points, 30, 50, 60, 70. There was a myriad of applications. Like anything, some were really good, some good, some not so good, some wherever. So yes, that was a big contributor for sure. And by the way, our ministry did the scoring. I didn't. There was no. It was just completely done based on merit, based on the factors that we put in as qualifications.
And in terms of the projects that Hamilton has put forward here, there's 5 listed on the application originally. Was it something about those applications or those projects, I guess, were specific that helped put Hamilton forward to where it is now with this?
Well, and MP Danko said it best. You have development charges to put critical infrastructure in the ground. So whether it's roads, getting people to their home, or whether it's bridges, getting them across our water system in this province, or it's getting shovels in the ground for water and wastewater. I'm going to tell you, since I've been in this role, since I've been an MPP, the insatiable need for water and wastewater infrastructure across this province is nothing like you could ever dream. In fact, AMO, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, and the Ontario Sewer and Water Main Construction Association each say that over the next 10 to 15 years, we're going to need up to $250 billion, with a B, dollars put in the ground for water and wastewater. And so I'll take a moment here to give a little commercial for the idea we're advancing. This is an important project, $8.8 billion along with the HST, but it's not $250 billion. And no governments, and you can ask the mayor, you can ask the federal government, or you can ask the provincial, has an extra $250 billion kicking around to meet the need. Remember, it's not just new infrastructure that we need. It's replacing old infrastructure, those old pipes, those old water systems that have, post-World War II have come to their life's end. So we have to replace those, and that's why we're advancing the notion of publicly owned water utility corporations, owned locally, owned with key partners, owned by the people, publicly owned and managed professionally. We need to stand these up. We have a pilot project in Peel, and there's an insatiable ask throughout the province again for housing enabling infrastructure, especially water and wastewater.
Hi, Minister. Tevye from the Hamilton Spectator. A related question, slightly off topic, but notwithstanding this, $500 million funding pot, it's a big deal. Homelessness across the province is getting worse. It's not getting better, except for in St. Thomas, which I visited, your hometown. My first question is, we've heard Hamilton city officials say, look, our $28 million in homelessness prevention funding from the province has been static past few years, but the need has just increased. The numbers of people who are struggling with this has increased. I think they formally asked you to take another look at that formula and that funding amount. Where are we with that?
So again, very valid points. I would point out 3 years ago we did increase homelessness prevention 40% for 3 years in a row, and I think it's met a need. Is it still a problem? It's a big problem. We understand that. And it isn't just a big city problem. You can go to small town, rural Ontario, northern Ontario. It's a big problem everywhere. In fact, it's a national, pan-Canadian problem. So when we look at it here, and it leads me into what I'm saying. We have a national housing strategy, a partnership between the federal government and the provinces. I'm the co-chair this year for the next 2 years, and I've been working closely with Minister Gregor Robertson as we look at advancing stage 2, or the next iteration of the national housing strategy. On that list, at the top of that list, is homelessness prevention, homelessness support. I've been meeting with key proponents supporting your ideas, the idea or your question. I can say I met with all the community housing providers in the last couple of weeks to get new ways. I used the stop, start, continue methodology. There's things that we need to start doing that we haven't been doing, and it may be more money, it may not be. It may be different approaches to how we invest the money. Stop the things that aren't working. We've made the national housing strategy, in my humble opinion, too complicated. It's a very complicated, different streams of funding, and then continue what's working. So I know I've been talking with my provincial and territorial counterparts over the last little while. We're going to sit down here very soon and hammer out the second iteration, please God, of the national housing strategy that will directly affect, directly improve how we tackle homelessness. We've got to stop always looking at it from an emergency standpoint. We have to look at it as a solvable investment right from the get-go. So that's what's on the menu for all ministers of Municipal Affairs and Housing throughout the province, along with the Minister, Gregor Robertson.
I think one of the things you're probably working on is Build Canada Homes has, I think, $1 billion set aside for transition
supportive housing, yeah.
and supportive housing, which is capital dollars. The province is supposed to come up with the operation dollars. Where is that? Where are you with that agreement? Because that's really key to building any sort of supportive housing. And why haven't you reached an agreement on that?
So let's just back up. The one word that I'm going to push back a little bit on is supposed to. That means we were supposed to. We need to be at the table to talk about it so it can work together. We have to work in unison to make this work. I understand that $1 billion funding stream is important, but it doesn't grow on trees. So we have to be in constant communication to make sure that we coordinate and collaborate to make sure the funding the federal government wants to put into physical assets can complement what we have available, working with our Ministry of Health, working with my ministry to ensure that we get that done. So it's a collaborative effort on the go all the time. We need to do a better job of communicating that.
I have an additional question. There's only 3 of us here, so I'm going to take the opportunity. So I did go to St. Thomas, and I saw the work that's being done there through Indwell, which they're from Hamilton, and also other providers and services, including your city council there. They've really bucked the trend. They're on their way to functional zero homelessness by 2027, next year, right? So what is it? We all have access to the same money and tools, theoretically. What is it that's different about St. Thomas that everyone else in the province doesn't seem to be seizing upon? I guess the question is, what do you need to do to make sure that others have that same success as your riding?
Well, let's talk about St. Thomas. It's one of 11 communities in my riding. Why have they succeeded? They started earlier, probably than most. I'm going to give a shout out to Indwell. Again, I'm glad you brought up the Hamilton connection. Jeff Nevin and his team have done a tremendous job. He always teases me because wherever I am in the province, I give Indwell a big shout out. And say I'm in Sault Ste. Marie, he gets a call from someone in Sault Ste. Marie, says, I can follow where you're speaking because I get calls from those cities. They've done a great job. So collaboration with the City Council, Joe Preston as mayor, and the City Council were lock in arm, lock in step in terms of being focused on getting this done. Whether it was the St. Thomas Police, whether it's getting constables on the ground downtown, whether it's not allowing encampments to stay any period of time at all, whether it's producing the shelter like at the inn, having tremendous support everywhere, and the supportive housing that goes around it. So is it perfect? No, but it's an example, one I'm proud to scream about from the rooftops time in and time out. 45,000 people, it's not 500,000 people, so you don't have to go too far north from St. Thomas and London. They've got a terrible situation there as well. But again, we're continuing to work closely. And again, I come back to working with the National Housing Strategy to make sure that we proact. We're not just spending for emergency funding, that we have long-term solutions, and I believe we'll get there in the next year to 2.
Am I cut off? Okay.
Did you get you got the hook? All right.
Well, this concludes our press conference. So now I have an opportunity to take some photos. So elected officials, please stay up, and we'll bring over a check, and anyone else who wants to join in the photos will have that chance.